All right. Double trouble.
Let's do it.
So let's go over the rest of them here. I'll get yours out of the way since you got my Buccaneers on out of the right way here.
All right.
Kyle and Gus looks like a women's college basketball game with the score here. 90 to
I hear you.
86. Kyle improves to 5-4. Gus, you fall to 1-8.
Damn.
The top scorer in this game was surprising. Goose, you got 50 from Stroud. 50.
I sure did.
And you ended up scoring another 36 points from your other 8 players. Kyle had much lower numbers, 19 from Mixon. Mahomes had 17. Jerome Ford had 12. But he got the 4-point win over you. I know this one had to hurt a little bit with how much Stroud got, but good Lord.
Yeah. Good for Kyle. He pulled this one out. This was my chance to take him on, to take him out this week. Just very, very poor management. I was, no excuses. But 50 points from CJ Stroud got me some players. So, hey, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. He's a fun kid to watch, man. So, Kyle, we're it's like we're all doing construction work on our teams all, this season, a little bit more so than previous years, I think. And poor Kyle, he's had Kyron Williams go on the IR, Jerome Ford kind of in and out. He started out with a really, really strong team. So he
Chubb
got
getting
this
hurt to start out.
Chubb dude out for the whole year. So he improves to 5-4. He was 4-4. So he gets one game above 500, stays above water, and lives to see another day. So good for him.
Yep. Strong win for him there. I also came up on the short end of the stick in my battle with Carlos. I didn't have the highest hopes for this. Hell, I
Yeah.
had to trade you for a backup Rams running back just for a hope at something right
I
before
know.
this.
I hate that, bro.
But yeah, he pulled out a win, almost a 50-point win. Tank Dell, as we said, he got 32 points. Aaron Jones,
Oof.
19. Olave had 16. My top scorer matched his third highest score. Dotson was 16, who you now have. Keenan Allen, 15. And Demario Douglas with 10. I'm happy to see how he might come along, but this week was not my week with some top players on bye. But no excuses, though. I'm one game back of Carlos, and who knows? Maybe we might see each other again. But Carlos has a damn good team. He's got the top record in the league still, 7 and
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. Very, very strong team. The Florida Hurricanes versus the my Jameer on the ball. You score. I think this is your season low, right? 75.
It better
But
be. Jesus Christ.
yeah, but it's no big deal. You're still 6-3, so you're doing pretty good. Tank Dell for Carlito came through, and you guys live
Every
on.
time Tank Dell scored, man, every time he got something, and it was coming against the Bucks and coming against me in
Boom,
fantasy,
boom,
every
boom.
single time, it just another little part of me died on the inside.
Isn't that
So,
crazy, dude? Swift kick in the ass,
I'm telling
but
you,
it's all good. We did call this one the Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader, so looks like Luke took it this one. Hoo, hoo.
yeah. Well, I mean, Carlos has come a long way. We'll have to see
Yeah,
how he ends the year, how he does in the playoffs.
yeah,
He's got some history to erase, so we'll see how that goes.
yeah.
Speaking of history, Manny's losing streak is history. He has
Oh
overcome
God,
his 3-game losing streak, got one over Jeff,
yeah.
142 to 124 and a quarter. His top score was Jalen Hurts, 29 points. Stephon Diggs, 22 points. That's what you'd expect, right?
Right,
Cole Komet, 24 and a half. What the hell is that?
right.
And then you look at Jeff's top scorers. I mean, Jacobs and Andrews. Yeah, okay. Johnu Smith is his top scorer at 26 and a quarter. Couple tight ends going to battle here.
Yeah, this is a tight end world that we live in nowadays. With all this flex spots, and kudos to Manny. He's 6-3. He got the win over Jeff. Jeff put up a decent fight, and he did it with tight ends. He held on to Coke and Matt, 24 points. Um, that's not a season high. He scored actually more than that, but he hung on to this dude for through the lows, through 2.5s and even donuts like in week 7. So here he's reaping the rewards and Jordan's rewards as well with Dalton Kincaid down there.
Yeah, shut
So
up.
but that's the way.
It
Wait,
never fails. It never fails. It never fails. It just tight ends are the bane of my goddamn existence, man. I'm
yes,
telling you, like Dalton Kincaid, I got him like, oh, it might be keep material. And then I'm thinking later in the year, I'm probably not going to keep him. Dawson
right.
Knox is still on the field so much and everything. But yep, enjoy, Manny. You're fucking welcome. Let's move on before I cry.
Let's do it. Let's do
Sahid.
it.
Sahid takes a big win over Joel. Joel could have matched Carlos for top record in the league, but he did not. Lost by just under 10 to Sahid, who improves to 5-4, who is definitely reversing his fortunes here. Josh Allen got 27 points. Another damn tight end who's not really a tight end. Taysom Hill
Oh my
and
goodness.
Deontay got 22 each. Joel got 27 from Ramondre. Amari Cooper got 25. Joey B got 24. Pretty good game here. Could have been a game of the week, but it was decided a little earlier than we thought. But any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this was big time. So he's just clawing his way back into the division, into the playoff picture. And Joel had one of the strongest teams in the league, or among the top three, top four. And he lost only by, a little over 10 points, I believe. We talked about it in that other show. Yeah, he had a couple guys on the bye week, so that was gonna hurt
Mhm.
him. So you see that reflected in the flex spots. And Sahid, and this is the thing about fantasy, right? So it makes you love or root for the things that you hate. It's a weird therapy session. And then Sahid, I know more than anything, hates. He likes to call him number 7, but number 7 is carrying his team so far with for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's hard to root for a saint. It really, really is, especially one that just has that face that's so punchable. But hey, Taysom is getting it done. I mean, he's passing, he's running, he's catching. I hope he just catches chlamydia or something at some point. Speaking of chlamydia, well, maybe I shouldn't say speaking of chlamydia. Lewis versus Sam.
All right.
I don't know why, chlamydia made me think of this game, but, maybe it's just because that Sam's team really didn't show up at all.
Yeah.
94 points. Definitely scored more than mine, but it came at a bad time because Lewis's team said, I don't care if we got chlamydia, we fucking. And he got a 30-point win over Sam. Don't look now, man, but Lewis has won more games this year already than he did all of last year and most of the years before. So, I mean, he's making some noise. I mean, he still is second in his division. He's 3 games behind Joel, but I mean, he's not dead yet. And everybody would have thought that he might have been, but he's not. And don't look now, but he got Eckler back, and he wasn't even his top scorer. It was Rashad White,
Yeah.
31 points. Dalton Schultz, 30 and a half points.
Yeah.
Sam got 31 from Dak, but just, Saquon is going to be low floor now with Danny Dimes out. Scary Terry only got 12. So Sam's got it feels like they both have the same record, but they're going opposite directions right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to trend these teams with so much variables in between, especially with bye weeks and injuries to starting quarterbacks. Lewis, you're right, has slowly been trending up here, and he's getting points from unconventional players. Dalton Schultz, 30 points. Like Dalton Schultz would be on the waiver wire on any other league, and he held on to this guy for quite a bit. So this is the game that we play, right? When do you let go of a player? How long do you keep him until he starts hurting your team? And Dalton Schultz, he made the right move with that one. One thing I would probably recommend it before the trade deadline. It's too late now. It's probably an upgrade at quarterback. He's got Geno Smith here, I think, who's been just taking a dump on a weekly basis and really hasn't crossed more than 16 points in over 4 or 5 weeks. So I think
Yeah.
that could propel his team to that next level. And then just Sam, what he's suffering from no Matthew Stafford, just like you, right? You guys are suffering the after effects of just bad quarterbacking, and it sucks. It's good and bad, right? You have to strategize a little bit better at this time of year, but it's bad because you start losing a lot of good players, especially good starting quarterbacks. So you're down to your second and third. You know, your college quarterbacks, these guys will probably never be starters in the NFL ever, but somebody has to go out, just like that kicker, right? The running back, the former running back for the Bucks, right? He was the kicker for
Mhm.
the Texans. Just crazy stuff like that. You have players that don't belong, playing these certain positions, and so these quarterbacks, they cannot sustain these offenses. So these top players, they take a big hit, and it really changes things for fantasy.
Yeah, man. And I can't remember a year where we've had so many, and I feel like we say this a lot. I mean, not just the injuries, but where they're at. I mean, obviously you got A-Rod, he's been injured.
Yeah,
But you have all these quarterbacks stepping in that honestly just suck for
yeah,
fantasy.
yeah.
Like that, even if they help their team win, they suck
Right.
for fantasy, and they are two different things.
Yeah.
So speaking of fantasy, let's get into what we're watching here.
Cool.
Goose, you're watching Carlos and Manny. I mean, it's only the a battle between two of the top records in the league. So why would you want to pay attention to this?
Carlos and Manny. So let's see here. We got two teams here. The Houdini and the Florida Hurricanes. So Manny 6-3, first in his division. We got Carlos 7-2, top in his divisions. These have to be two of the top scoring teams in the league. I'm assuming, right? But
Oh yeah.
this could be. I mean, my predictions have been so spot on this year, but we could say maybe what the Super Bowl prediction for this fantasy league, maybe. So that's why it means a lot. So here we are. We have two teams, really good players. But guess what? The Eagles are on a bye.
Uh-oh.
So Manny's gonna have to be without Jalen Hurts, his top scoring quarterback, and then and so he looks like Manny's gonna go with Joshua Dobbs. Talking about garbage quarterbacks. Well, there we go.
Yeah, and I'll be getting into him in a little bit for sure. But even with that, Manny's still favored by 16. And, he's got a squad. And
Yeah, he
you were
does.
right. It's not just between two of the top scoring teams in the league, it is the battle between the two top scoring teams in the league. They are the only teams that have scored more than 1,200 points.
Wow.
And Carlos is over 1,300, actually. And Manny's over 1,250. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, man. I mean, with the bye weeks and everything else, for sure. And to me, it's more of a benchmark for Carlos, right? Like
Right.
Carlos and Manny are both somewhat recent ads to our league. Great ads. Love those guys to death.
Yeah.
Both have had a little bit different outcomes since they've been in. Manny's been making the Super Bowl damn near almost every year, it feels like.
Yeah.
Won twice, almost had a third in the few times. And Carlos has been scraping bottom of the barrel most of the time he's been in. Carlos now has a top team in the league, and he's trying to make his mark. And a win against Manny, I think, would go a long way to be like, hey, I'm here. All right. And if he gets that eighth win and he's the first one to 8 wins, which means he cannot have a losing year this year, that's a big statement by Carlos for sure.
Yeah, and it could be the difference between that first round bye week, right? That coveted that you can escape an upset. So that's a big deal in my opinion, because it's a week that you can chill and just watch football stress free.
Yeah. Unless you're in other leagues, like, this idiot right here. But speaking of really good games to watch here, I'm looking at one that's definitely going to be important, I think, for the playoff chase. Not top seed, but Sajid versus Kyle. Seed's favored by 22, but who knows what's going to happen. This is just two former Super Bowl champions here going at it. Sajid is second in his division. Kyle right now is third in his. He happens to be in Carlos's division and with Hector. So unfortunately for him, that means that a 5-4 record is not good enough to be anything other than last place in the division. But he still has a chance. It's saying by ESPN, and who knows if that's right or not. He has a 63% chance to make the playoffs. And Sahid also has a 63% chance to make the playoffs. So two teams, 5-4, tough
Mhm.
divisions, tough guys ahead of them. And both these guys need this win because 6-4 looks a lot better than 5-5, especially when you're getting down to the last few weeks of the year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. These are the teams that can come back, surprise you, can cause the upsets for the big dogs, right? And we've seen it time and time again. Super Bowl champions come, in all sorts of flavors, right? So you got your top dogs that have been destroying the league all season, no problem, and they win. And then you have these guys that come from the bottom with so and so records, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, barely get in, and then come
Get
playoff
hot at the right
time
time.
and win their championship that way. So there's 20 different ways to do this, guys. And this, you're right. One of these teams is gonna move on and you know chase that
Be in
playoff
better
dream,
position. Yeah.
but and then another one might be trying to claw their way back. But again, the theme of the week is trash can quarterbacks, and here we have Taylor Heineke that Kyle's gonna go with, more likely because Patrick Mahomes is on a bye week. So I don't know. That's tough. It's tough to trust those guys, when you really need a game.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very true, man. And I will put this out here too. There are 8 teams that have a winning record in the league right now. There's only 7 playoff spots, so there's a chance that the entire division, Carlos's division, could make the playoffs. And if they do, that means that the only other ones that can make it are the division winners plus one. So
Right.
who's going to be the odd man out? Is Kyle going to be out? Is Hector? Is Sajid? Is it going to be me or Alex potentially? Is anybody going to come back in Joel's division?
Mhm.
It's a toss up for sure. But moving on to our games here,
Sure.
49ers at Jags. You got your eye on this one. I can't blame you, but what you looking at?
49ers and Jags. So um again, we're always talking about trying to measure yourself against the best. And the Jaguars have done a pretty good job putting themselves in position, right? They're 6-2, tops in their division. The 49ers, they were Super Bowl favorites, back in preseason. And it's a very scary team. Now Brock Purdy has struggled against good defenses. The Jacksonville has a very, very good defense, good cornerbacks. They can make this very difficult for him. San Francisco has had a bye week, and they're well rested, so they've been able to game plan for this game. It's in Jacksonville, so we'll see what happens. Right, any of these games could go any which way, but Jacksonville has been playing teams real tough. But again, you want to see how you fare against the best teams in the league because it lets you know where your team is at, and if you fall flat on your face, then you know you have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, man. And if I'm not mistaken, I think both these teams are coming off a bye, aren't they?
They are, yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, they've been planning for this, and the 49ers, like they gotta win. They really do. The Jags, they feel like they gotta win too. They got this is a proving ground for them as well. So yeah, definitely gonna be great. Over unders 45.5. San Francisco favored by 3. I'm looking at a little bit of a lower scoring game. And this one is a divisional battle. Browns and Ravens. Over under a 38.5. Ravens are favored by 6. Only a sicko like me would like this type of setup. But
Mm.
this is a divisional game, man. And
Yeah,
don't look now, but I mean, the Ravens, it doesn't feel like it because it's not their same typical offense, but they're 7-2.
yeah.
That's one game behind the best record in the league. And then they're playing the Browns, who are 5-3. That's only one game behind. Dude, the AFC North has 7-2 Ravens, and then all the other teams are 5-3. I mean, this is a nutty setup. I mean, this division is still up for grabs with everybody having winning records. The Bengals are looking better. The Browns won't go away. The Steelers, I don't know how they're doing it. And then you got the Ravens too. So I'm looking forward to see how this one plays out between the new Cleveland Browns and the old Cleveland Browns. Probably be a low scoring affair. Probably going to be decided by defense, or who the hell knows? Maybe it ends up being a crazy shootout.
It could be definitely a crazy shootout. Believe it or not, Cleveland Browns have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Now they can be vulnerable against the run, and we've seen that happen. But be careful. These guys in that secondary, they're no joke, bro, and they can shut down anybody. And don't sleep on them. Guess what? Baltimore Ravens, yeah, top 5 defense in the NFL as well. So
Yep.
these two teams
They
can shut.
destroyed the Seahawks.
That's what I'm saying. They can shut down the best offense in the NFL. And they got some head coaches that are well prepared to do that. But you're right. This is a big game. Baltimore is ahead in the standings by just a couple games, and Remember, Cleveland was out of it by anybody. We had what? PJ Walker, we had the Rook. I mean, when they were starting those guys, the season was pretty much over, right? We didn't know when Deshaun Watson was going to come back. They're 5-3, and guess what? They could easily be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean some impressive wins too. I mean, they beat San Francisco. They were the first team to beat San Francisco.
They did.
Nobody saw that.
Yep.
And yeah, you have that type of defense, man. It'll keep you in those games, and it's going to be important. Like everybody thought that this AFC, um, playoff tree was going to be ridiculous, shootouts, impressive this and that and everything else. This AFC playoff bracket might end up being decided by a lot of defensive games. You might not have very many shutouts at all with how this is going, because so far it has not been offense winning everything. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But despite that, you have your eyes on CJ Stroud. We talked about him already a little bit, but he's playing Cincy. Are you thinking this might be kind of a prove it game for him after his game last week?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, this whole season will be a prove it season. He's done very well with the challenges.
True.
They've had, what, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Saints, Falcons, Pittsburgh. I mean, come on. They're 4-4, and
Not exactly a gauntlet.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're 4-4, so they're on their up and up, in second in the division behind the Jaguars. But the Bengals. Wait a minute, Bengals were out of it. Joe Burrow. Wait a minute, they're 5-3. Is this what they do every year? Do they just let on and let people just beat them, and all of a sudden they just say, "Yeah, let's play, guys. Week 4, week 5, let's start playing."
They remind me of, and I'm not saying this as a mistake, they remind me of the San Diego Chargers, who always got that horrible start and then came back in the year. That's just what it reminds me of. And yeah, and dude, this is a big game for sure. But if CJ Stroud keeps this pace up, if the Houston Texans somehow make a push and either get into or almost get into the playoffs, or just as it is right now with how he's been playing and how much he's carrying that team, is CJ Stroud, forget rookie of the year, is he
Right.
an MVP candidate?
Yeah, 100%. Those 14 touchdowns. Wait a minute. One interception. One interception all year long. I mean, he's got to be in the conversation.
Definitely. I doubt he's going to win. I mean, we always know how that goes with a rookie. But if he drags this team to the playoffs, if he gets even close, I mean, take my vote, because you don't normally see that at all. And other things you don't see either. Dobbs. I mean, I get that he wasn't exactly lighting it up with Arizona. I mean, Arizona wasn't lighting anything up except blunts probably. But
Yes.
he gets over to Minnesota. He literally gets off the plane and goes straight to the game. No prep work at all. Has to come in and leads a win versus the Falcons. Makes Arthur Smith look even more stupid than he already is. I mean, I want to see what he does versus the Saints. Yeah, Arthur Smith, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, just putting it out there. You don't use your best players in the best ways. I don't care if you care about fantasy or not. You're a moron. Okay, end of discussion. But Dobbs versus New Orleans.
Yes.
New Orleans has a good defense. They
They
know
do.
how to play good defense. And don't know if you remember, but the Vikings and Saints have some history, like Minneapolis Miracle type
Oh,
stuff. There are
oof,
things that,
yes.
so, I'm interested to see what he does versus a good defense with a week of prep. We've seen the quarterback come in and, win a game on a last drive. Baker Mayfield did it last year with the Rams.
Hmm.
Sometimes just getting down to basics when you don't know everything and going with what works. And then you get too cute. And the next week you get slammed. I don't think that'll happen this week. I think the Vikings are playing better football because they have to. They have to play better because they don't have Kirk, and they aren't winning the one-score games. New Orleans hasn't really been that great, but they're staying in games. They got a good defense. They still have it. I'm interested to see how this one shakes out.
Yeah. Um, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. The man has been passed around more than a high school blunt, and he's done pretty
Oh, you
well.
didn't just hold those? I thought you're supposed to hold it until it goes out.
Well, if it's Josh Dobbs, you're passing that one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and it's crazy that, I mean, he's the way that he's doing that, out there looking like ET. I mean, hell, he's about the only guy that has less hair than I do. So I mean, when you have less hair than this, and I mean, I think my eyebrows have like 68 times the hair that his do as well. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, it's right. Hey, Will Smith is gonna come after your ass. Better be careful.
That's all right. I'll sue him and get millions. I ain't gonna
Smart.
be as nice as Chris Rock. Fuck that. Well, we talked about the Texans and Bucks. We talked about the Eagles game.
Yes.
And I want to talk about some of the other ones, just the ones that matter to us a little bit. Saints beat the Bears. I was actually surprised the Bears stayed in this one as long as they did. But the Saints ended up pulling it out. Cole Kmet had a huge game, but not enough. Not sure how the Bears will fare on Thursday night versus the Panthers, two shitty teams. Probably going to have a shitty game. But hey, they got the win versus the Bears. They did what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, would have liked it if the Bears pulled this one out.
Yeah. You're playing Tyson Bagent. End of story.
Yep. Yep. And then the other game that I thought was actually really good, but I don't think it was as close as the final score suggested. Bengals 24, Bills 18. Was it just me, or did watching this game, did you come to the conclusion that the Bills haven't done enough to turn the corner versus the top AFC teams yet?
Oh man. Oh man. It's raining on Josh Allen. Yeah, this is a tough one. It's a tough one if you're a Bills fan. You would like to see the team take, a positive step, especially when you're playing these big games, right? You're so hopeful. These teams with so much history,
The
and
team that kicked you out of the playoffs last year by 2 touchdowns.
I know. And this is wasn't this a DeMar Hamlin game? Like
Yep. Yeah, that
where
was
he
the Monday night championship week game that we had to deal with last year.
right where he died. So that was man, oof. Anyways, it's tough. It's tough if you're a Bills fan. I don't know what the answer is. Josh Allen had a semi decent game, especially he was the leading rusher for the team, by the way. So maybe Uncle Lenny, my Uncle Lenny, is the answer.
Maybe so, but I don't really trust the Bills to know what to do with running backs. It's like they're like, all right, we got a running back. Let's put him on the field and ignore him.
It's Uncle
And
Lenny,
he's wide
man.
open, and Josh Allen wants to run it.
He
You have
always
a
wants
running
to
back
run.
near the goal line, but
Yep.
Josh Allen wants to run it. I don't know, man. It's weird because I don't think a coaching change is needed. I think
No.
McDermott is a great coach,
Mhm.
but I kind of wonder if it's kind of like a Dungy situation where he can get his team ready for the dance, but he can't close on the date. You know what I mean?
You could say that, but you could also look into, and this is just something that I just little sideline storylines I've been playing in my head. Stephon Diggs, right? These diva wide receivers, they command so much targets, kind of like OBJ with Baker Mayfield. And in my opinion, do they hold the team back because they command so much targets and take away so much of the offensive focus, um, towards their way? Whereas, like, if once you remove that player, and granted, I'm not saying that the Bills would be better without Stephon Diggs, but maybe the offense would flow a little bit better. Like you said, a little more focus on the running game, more focus on opening those lanes than just trying to force feed your top player. I don't know.
I would agree, but I think it'd be almost easier if you could just get a 1B to Stephon Diggs, take a chance, make a splash. I mean, they got Dalton Kincaid in the draft instead of trading up to get Addison, who's been great, or
Oof.
maybe taking a stab at D Hop or something. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
Addison.
I don't.
Oof.
I'm telling you, man, he's.
Oh man, that's it. You would unlock that offense.
I mean, but look at what the Vikings did. They needed help on defense. They
Yeah.
didn't really need another wide receiver, but they
No.
said, we got Justin Jefferson, who's the best wide receiver in the game.
Yeah.
We need to take some pressure off of him so that we can let him do what he does and not just get him, 16 catches for 92 yards.
Right.
Right. But they seem to not have that. They keep thinking they can just do the same things and get different results. And that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And, it's going to make you want to throw your body through a table like a Bills fan.
Yep. I
But
would too. I would too. Right about now, if I was them.
yep, damn right. Especially with that winter a coming. Ooh. Lenny said it's colder than a penguin's
He
ass
said,
up there, and it was
"Ooh."
only 46 degrees. He's
He
got
was
some
like,
learning to do.
he was like, "What the hell? Am I seeing Santa Claus up here?"
See, he told on himself. I'm telling you this. He told on himself with that because that basically means the Bills were the only team that wanted him because he was like, I don't want to go to that cold ass city. Who else wants me? Okay, I'll go to that cold ass city, I
Hey,
guess.
one last thing. Jeff's been looking at my uncle Lenny's thighs. Hey, they're out of this world.
Oh, Jeff's been looking at
Yeah,
his thighs.
yeah, he sure
Yeah,
has. Yeah, yeah.
that doesn't really surprise me though, because I mean, him and those like in those beads in between the thighs.
Oh
You know,
no.
thigh. If curls are for girls and thighs are for guys, when it comes to Jeff, I guess. So we'll let him do it. I mean, no hating. Hey, you're free to do what you want in your own bedroom. But if you're gonna be if you're gonna be hanging up, Lenny thigh posters on your ceiling, you might just want to change that up a little bit. But besides that, any other closing thoughts, Goose? We're 9 weeks in.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts right now besides wishing that you had a better fantasy team?
Yeah, like not watching football at all and concentrating on everything else. But let me think. Uh, Good luck to everybody. Trade deadline has passed.
Mhm.
The real games begin now. Obviously, grinding the waiver wire and strategic ad drops and things like that, and sit starts. I'm not doing too hot on that, but they're crucial and they mean a lot because as you position yourself for the playoffs. So good luck. There's a lot of strategies involved. A lot of luck is involved as well. But guess what? Only the best survives. So we'll see.
It's crunch time, guys. No more trades. Work that waiver wire. Work your start sit decisions. Do your homework. The team you got is probably going to be pretty much the team you end with. So for better or for worse, good luck to everybody. Top 7 teams make the playoffs. We'll see who that is. We're going to be getting close to where we're going to have to go over some playoff scenarios, but we're still a few weeks out. So keep it up. Keep the focus on the here and now, and let's see how it shakes out. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.